Welcome back to Nokus Reality, your ultimate hub for every explosive secret behind the velvet ropes of pop culture. Today, we are diving deep into a story that reads like a Hollywood thriller, full of high-stakes courtrooms, secret rendezvous, and unbelievable plot twists. For years, the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills star Erika Jayne was defined by the sudden dramatic collapse of her marriage to disgraced legal titan Tom Girardi. But just when the world thought her story was locked in court documents and headlines, Erika flipped the script entirely. Enter John Shrek McPhee, a retired U.S. Army Special Operations Sergeant Major turned elite private security operator. What began as a discreet connection in London quickly spiraled into a whirlwind romance filled with private hotel suites, $1.8 million grand gestures, family blessings, and a September 2nd wedding that has sent shockwaves through the Bravo universe. Even with rumors of a hidden pregnancy and a controversial $15,000 gift from Bravo, the real question remains: can Erika truly leave her past behind? Grab your tea, hit that subscribe button, and let's untangle the incredible, jaw-dropping journey of Erika Jayne's brand new chapter. For more than 2 decades, Erika Jayne has floated through the world in a bubble of complete luxury, buoyed by her husband Tom Girardi's massive financial power. To the outside world and millions of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills viewers, Tom was an untouchable legal titan, the famed attorney who took down large businesses and bankrolled Erika's beautiful pop star career. Her life was all about diamonds, private jets, and a large property in Pasadena. But behind the closed doors, the sparkling veneer was built on a foundation that was rapidly falling apart. The legal maelstrom that Erika's divorce filing in late 2020 unleashed shocked the Hollywood industry. Federal prosecutors said Girardi was stealing millions of dollars destined for vulnerable clients, including orphans and victims of catastrophic accidents. The fallout was instantaneous and catastrophic, and played out step by step in front of television cameras. Erika lost her opulent lifestyle, was thrust into the glaring spotlight of public attention, and was dogged by co-stars, creditors, and federal investigators. Where Tom was accused of a crime that led to a conviction and jail sentence, Erika was left to rebuild her reputation, her profession, and her sense of self from the ground up. Pop culture observers had assumed for years that Erika would stay guarded, keep her heart locked up, while she handled the countless lawsuits. The general public assumed that after such a horrific betrayal, the discovery of real trust would be next to impossible. But deep down, Erika was quietly hoping for anything or someone who could offer real security, stability, and an emotional sanctuary away from the glitz and trial dates of Los Angeles. She didn't need another lawyer or some rich benefactor pulling strings behind the scenes of her life. She needed someone who had been made under real pressure, someone whose strength wasn't measured by bank balance or court verdict. By the summer of 2025, Erika Jayne was ready for a new beginning. She was weary by the incessant headlines, the harsh courtroom battles, and the cruel Beverly Hills betrayals. Determined to recover her status as a performer, she crossed the Atlantic for a gig in London. She yearned for the thundering life of the stage, far from the stuffy drama of her past. But fate had a much bigger surprise for her waiting in the shadows backstage. Enter John Shrek McPhee. On paper, they could not be further apart. John was a decorated, retired American Sergeant Major of Army Special Operations, a former Green Beret and Delta Force operator who was dubbed the Sheriff of Baghdad in tactical circles and spent decades running high-stakes combat missions far away from the dazzling world of Hollywood reality television. He'd gone into private security and tactical consultancy, which took him to London that June. It sounds like a scene from a romance novel the way they met. Normally it's Erika who gets approached, but she saw John backstage. From a podcast by a buddy she had listened to, she recognized him immediately. The pop artist shed her strong, guarded persona in a rare, unusual action. She approached the weather vet, used her vulnerability, and told her she was a real fan. For a lady who'd spent the last 5 years around people who wanted something from her, stepping up to a stranger just for the hell of it was a huge leap of faith. The attraction was immediate and unmistakable. Erika learned that beneath his military hardness was the heart of an unexpectedly generous and passionately caring man. More significantly, they bonded on an emotional level. Both knew what it was like to be under a microscope, to be misinterpreted and misrepresented by the public. He didn't see the problematic reality star the media had imagined her to be. He just saw Erika. The rest of their time together was spent quietly dating in London. They strolled out to have a casual manicure and pedicure, holding hands without a guard up. Erika Jayne and John Shrek McPhee knew they would have an uphill struggle keeping their growing romance under wraps after meeting like magnets in London. Having her personal life torn to shreds mercilessly by legal investigators, reality TV cameras, and tabloid headlines for years, Erika was passionately guarded of her new relationship. She wasn't ready to offer up another relationship to the voracious wolves of pop culture critique. John, who knew the very clandestine world of military special operations, where discretion was practically a matter of life and death, perfectly understood her protective impulses. Both chose to retire to the shadows. For months, their connection was exclusively behind closed doors. Rather than making the rounds of the glitzy Beverly Hills hotspots or red carpet events, the pair came up with a hush-hush routine that totally baffled the paparazzi. They met up in the exclusive, ultra-luxury, 5-star hotel suites in different locations. These secret sanctuaries, their refuge from the noisy, judgmental world. No flashing camera lenses, no co-star inquisitions, no intrusive producer queries, no court summonses lay behind those heavy double doors with room service and cityscape views. It was simply two people coming together without outside pressure. In these quiet suites, whispered pledges began to lay a foundation neither saw coming. Erika, a woman who had always been known for her cool facade and defensive shields, found herself opening up in ways she hadn't in decades. John listened without judgment, providing a steadying, protecting, and calm strength that was completely different from the icy, manipulating dynamics of her first marriage to Tom Girardi. He didn't care about the pricey glam squad, the pop star theatrics, or the Beverly Hills expectations. He cared about the actual woman behind it all. As the months slowly slipped away toward a full year of clandestine dating, what began as a tentative, covert retreat gradually blossomed into a deep, steadfast, emotional connection. They got to fly off, have secret late-night dinners, and fantasize of a life together out of the tabloid spotlight. Just when the world was beginning to think Erika Jayne's narrative was a predictable series of clandestine dates and covert hotel escapes, a shocking secret was starting to emerge behind closed doors. Erika and John Shrek McPhee had been living in the delicate bubble of perfect seclusion for nearly a year, far away from flashing cameras and pushy paparazzi. But in the shadows, rumors among their tight inner circle grew more and more insistent, suggesting a huge change was coming for Erika. Insiders say that another bombshell story suddenly broke, something that no reality TV fan or pop culture commentator ever anticipated coming. Erika Jayne is pregnant with John McPhee's baby. For a woman who spent the last several years dealing with the painful fallout of the Tom Girardi legal issues, the news was an emotional rebirth. 5 years of fighting for her life in the spotlight, Erika had been weighed down by the burden of corporate fraud trials, interminable depositions, and the searing heat of public shame. Most people in Beverly Hills wouldn't have thought of starting a family again. But with John, a retired special operations sergeant major who provided steadfast strength, solid security, and genuine emotional protection, the concept of bringing new life into the world seemed the ultimate sign of healing. It was a strong physical reminder that her dark past didn't have entire grip over her personal destiny. The secret was getting to be too much to bear. The pregnancy was beginning to be talked about among close friends and Hollywood insiders. It was decades ago that Erika had mentioned her grown son, Tommy Zizzo, in the upper echelons of society. Now, she was on the verge of a very new chapter. She was more than the highly guarded pop singer who guarded her reputation on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. She was a lady about to become a mother again, and she had the quiet commitment of a decorated veteran behind her. No matter how hard a reality TV star tries to keep their personal life under wraps, pop culture media's ever-watchful eye always finds a way to get in. For close to a year, Erika Jayne and John Shrek McPhee had been living in a secluded sanctuary, keeping their romance from the public eye for quite some time. They eschewed red carpet events, meeting instead in private luxury hotel rooms, keeping their relationship far away from the noise of Hollywood. But in the era of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, full seclusion is a luxury that rarely lasts indefinitely. The last straw was in July 2025, when sly paparazzi caught the two of them leaving public places together. Erika was calm, cheerful, and completely free of her trademark emotional armor, her hands held after a leisurely manicure and pedicure. The pictures quickly went viral on social media, provoking instant speculation among fans, blogs, and her eagle-eyed castmates. Even her closest co-stars, except for Kyle Richards, were kept in the dark for months. And then, without warning, the truth was out. The media pressure was overwhelming, and Erika and John had to face the reality of their predicament. Rather than allowing the tabloids to tell the story, Erika chose to come forward and speak out about the romance herself. She appeared on podcasts, televised confessionals, and the RHOBH season 15 finale, where she stated that John McPhee was her partner. Erika said that she had purposely kept their relationship under wraps since she understood how harmful public perceptions can be on fresh relationships. After years of brutal scrutiny throughout Tom Girardi's legal downfall, she wanted to make sure their marriage was rock solid before weathering the public storm. Erika's candor was shocking when she finally confessed. She revealed she first met John backstage in London as a fan, impressed by his illustrious credentials as a Special Forces veteran. She told me how his level-headedness helped her to shed her guard and feel truly safe for the first time in years. The couple, Erika Jayne and John Shrek McPhee, had their romance confirmed publicly, and they were hit with a major media maelstrom. Fans, bloggers, and reality TV experts analyzed every little detail of their relationship, anxious to see how the pop diva would adjust to life with a decorated war veteran. Erika was reconstructing her life, step by step, after years of financial scrutiny and losing her lavish Pasadena lifestyle in the wake of her high-profile breakup from Tom Girardi. But once the first shock of the public wore off, John did something that was beyond amazing and showed that his dedication was so much deeper than mere words or casual dating. In a gesture that sent shockwaves around the Bravo community, John Shrek McPhee gave Erika a stunning luxury property for $1.8 million. For a woman who had been forced to downsize into a rental apartment and undergo lengthy legal wrangling over assets and jewelry, such a big gift was a meaningful turning point. It wasn't just a luxurious property, the house. It was security, stability, a new foundation, a place where Erika could finally feel protected. Unlike her prior life, where luxury came with tangled strings and hidden legal troubles, this enormous gesture was purely from a place of love and unshakable support. The property sold for $1.8 million and quickly created a massive sensation across social media and entertainment sites. Many fans commented on the costly present, with some praising John for his generosity and devotion, while others speculated how this new development will play into Erika's ongoing tale on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Some critics questioned the speed of such a big buy, but those close to the couple knew John's protective instincts made him want to guarantee. Erika had a quiet haven of her own. He wanted her to have a location where she could shed her defensive armor entirely and feel fully at home. It was physical evidence that this present was for them, that this relationship was meant to be. Many naysayers who felt it was just a passing fling have been proved wrong. For Erika Jayne, falling in love under the light of reality, TV was one thing, but winning the favor of the most important man in her life was another. But underneath the diamond-encrusted facade and pop star persona, Erika's greatest commitment has always been to her adult son, Tommy Zizzo. Most of Tommy's life was lived out of the Bravo limelight. He became a dedicated LAPD police officer with a clear sense of responsibility and a natural protective instinct. Tommy saw his mother's public humiliation, financial ruin, and mental devastation after Tom Girardi's terrible fall from grace. So it's understandable that he was suspicious of anyone entering her inner circle. From the outset, Erika made it clear that no relationship, no matter how beautiful, romantic, or high profile, could move forward without Tommy's true blessing. For John Shrek McPhee, seeing his son wasn't simply a casual Sunday brunch meet and greet, it was a high-stakes moment of truth. Every day, Tommy was on the front lines of law enforcement, and he could recognize pretense or an ulterior goal quite quickly. Fortunately, John McPhee was no run-of-the-mill Beverly Hills social climber or Hollywood insider. A decorated U.S. Army veteran, retired Army Special Operations veteran, John spoke a language of discipline, honor, and tactical realism that immediately struck a chord with the young commander. The mood between the two guys who sat down together was not of reality TV gossip or media fanfare, but mutual respect between two men who knew responsibility and sacrifice. In private, Tommy shared his concerns with John, who listened intently and made no bones about his full dedication to preserving Erika's peace of mind. In fact, Erika herself proudly acknowledged on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and a range of media interviews that the meeting went better than anyone could have hoped of. Tommy knew John had been a calm, stable presence in his mother's life for decades, something she had been missing. Despite Tommy Zizzo and John McPhee having created a solid foundation of mutual respect, Erika Jayne was torn up about the idea of remarrying. Married to Tom Girardi for 20 years, the marriage imploded catastrophically, leaving her emotionally wounded, financially bankrupt, and forced to continuously defend her identity in the public spotlight. For years, Erika vowed that she'd never go down the aisle again. The word marriage was loaded with anguish, directly linked to control, concealment, and the eventual annihilation of her old existence. It took more than intense romantic sentiments to take that jump a second time. It took complete emotional recovery and entire clarity. Her misgivings had been there all along, but John McPhee's constant commitment gradually eroded her deeply rooted fears. He provided her with unconditional support, a safe haven, a clean slate without hidden motives. When the subject of making their relationship official came up, Erika knew she couldn't base her decision on emotion alone. She was going to approach this new chapter with total maturity and caution. But before she agreed to marry John or make any other definitive commitments, Erika made an important decision. She approached her son Tommy for his legal consent. This was a moment of great significance for Erika. Tommy was her rock during the darkest hours of the Girardi scandals, supporting her as she picked up the broken pieces of her life. She wouldn't make a decision that would cause discord in her family or give her kid a moment's distress. In a frank and extremely emotional discussion, Erika laid out her heart, spoke about her dreams and her remaining vulnerabilities, and her earnest wish to create a peaceful future with John. Tommy knew better than anyone just how far his mother had come. Tommy saw the positive change in her spirit, and he had full faith in John's character, and gave his wholehearted support and agreement to the marriage. The greatest peace of mind for Erika was to hear her son willingly bless her future. And with her son Tommy's emotional blessing in tow, and her inner circle having her back, Erika Jayne was finally ready to share her greatest joy with the world. Her social media feeds had long been a battleground of defense comments and promotional updates and fierce clapbacks against relentless critics. But on a tranquil afternoon, Erika uploaded a photo that, in a blink, stopped millions of scrolling fingers dead in their tracks and sent shockwaves over every pop culture news outlet on the internet. The tweet included a sweet, beautiful photo of Erika and John, Shrek McPhee, cuddled up in an embrace, shining brighter than any tabloid story. In the caption, Erika didn't hold back or mince words. The biggest announcement of her whole rebirth was made official. The wedding day was planned for September 2nd. After a year of quiet hotel retreats, secret love affairs, and fevered media speculation, the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills star was pledging her full dedication to her new life in front of her millions of followers. The post became absolutely viral in minutes. The comment section went absolutely nuts with activity as reality TV royalty, celebrity pals, and longtime fans filled the post with warm greetings, heart emojis, and expressions of support for her new path. After 5 years of public humiliation and personal upheaval, fans took delight in seeing the Ice Queen truly happy and secure. For many who'd followed her journey on Bravo, watching her walk confidently toward the altar was the ultimate survival story. But in true Beverly Hills flair, the internet was highly divided. And with the tsunami of congrats came a tsunami of pointed questions and passionate debate. Skeptics and relentless adversaries quickly filled social media, bringing unpleasant questions about her disgraced ex-husband Tom Girardi, who remains in prison, and the unresolved impact of his legal offenses. Many wondered how fast Erika had gone from courtroom drama to wedding planning while Tom was still in the clink. On top of announcing a wedding date that would dominate entertainment news, a fresh scandal broke out that split the Bravo community down the middle. Behind the scenes, NBC, Universal, and Bravo execs knew Erika Jayne's surprise love affair, and imminent September 2nd wedding was TV gold. Bravo executives, surely in celebration of the occasion, and to obtain exclusive filming rights and behind-the-scenes access for The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, made a big announcement. They officially gave Erika Jayne and John Shrek McPhee a lavish $15,000 wedding gift. Network officials did the gesture was a routine show of support for one of their most contentious longtime stars, but the public reacted quickly, harshly, and overwhelmingly negatively. When the story of the $15,000 present entered the internet, social media sites exploded with a furious barrage of fan reaction. For the millions of viewers who had watched the sad repercussions of Tom Girardi's legal enterprise play out over the years, the network's gesture felt like a giant smack in the face to the victims. Online forums, chat shows, and commentary channels were instantly swamped with fury. Critics tore against Bravo, saying it was tone-deaf to give a reality star a big financial present after he was mired in multi-million-dollar fraud lawsuits. While victims of Tom Girardi's embezzlement schemes continued to struggle for justice, viewers pointed out the network was gifting Erika with thousands of dollars for her romantic fresh start. The hashtag campaigns took off, and many fans threatened to boycott the future season if the wedding was transformed into a glorified network special. But in the midst of the furious wave of criticism, Erika and John seemed to be surprisingly unconcerned with the ruckus around. Inside their inner circle, the present was understood as a goodwill gesture from a network that had been Erika's professional home through her worst difficulties. As the calendars flip to September 2nd, the entire entertainment world will be waiting, holding its breath for the climax of reality, TV's most unexpected romance. For Erika Jayne, walking down the aisle in a gorgeous bridal gown is more than simply a festive event. It's a grand symbolic statement of her whole rebirth. Surrounded by close friends, relatives she trusts, and ever-present eyes of production cameras, Erika is about to say I do to John Shrek McPhee. Erika seems to have finally found the solid, unyielding foundation she so desperately sought in her darkest years in Beverly Hills, beside a man whose life was shaped on the anvil of high-stakes military discipline and ferocious tactical protection. But While the wedding bells ring and the champagne flows, the dark complexities of her history are still just beyond the doors of the reception hall. Her disgraced ex-husband, Tom Girardi, is behind bars hundreds of miles away, serving a federal prison sentence following the total collapse of his once invincible legal business. All of which is a tragic turn of events for the victims left in Girardi's aftermath. Erika's fairy tale ending will be disputed by critics, legal analysts, and pop culture observers for years to come. Can she ever really escape the ruins of a 20-year marriage, or will the ghosts of Pasadena haunt her steps forever? Arguments rage on, but for Erika, September 2nd is an undeniable turning point. With John, she's no longer just riding out a legal storm or on the defensive as a guarded pop star. She's moving into an unknown future with a new home, family blessings, and a boyfriend who gives her real down-to-earth security. Will September 2nd mark the beginning of a peaceful, happily ever after for Erika Jayne and John Shrek McPhee? Or will the complex web of her past continue to follow them into this new life? Is Bravo support a celebration of true resilience, or does it reopen old wounds for the fans watching at home? We want to hear from you. Drop your thoughts, theories, and predictions in the comments section below. Erika Jayne is finally opening up about the complicated reality of her love life, and some of her revelations are truly shocking. From explaining why she'd hesitate to marry boyfriend John Shrek McPhee to addressing where their relationship stands today, Erika isn't holding back. But things get even more emotional as she reveals a painful abusive relationship after Tom Girardi that left her feeling numb inside. And why hasn't John met her RHOBH castmates yet? Stay tuned as we uncover the romance, heartbreak, and secrets behind Erika's latest confessions. The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills viewers are getting more insight into Erika Jayne and her new man, retired vet John Shrek McPhee. But is the expensive singer ready to say I do? Erika talked about marriage on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills after show for season 15. Episode 4, after producers asked her about the possibility of ever saying I do after her divorce from former high-powered attorney Tom Girardi. No, I don't think so, Erika said in the video above. I'm still married. I don't know. I don't want to give nobody these problems. Makes sense? Everyone in the company, including the rest of the cast, worried whether Erika was going to marry again when they saw the paparazzi pictures of Erika and John holding hands. If she wanted it, I think she'd have no problem getting a husband, Kyle Richards observed. And newbie Amanda Francis enthusiastically agreed, adding, I'm sure she can have her pick of many. Sutton Strack and her RHOBH pals Jennifer Tilly and Kathy Hilton, not Erika, was looking for something a little less formal than marriage. Yeah, I think she's looking for somebody to have fun with and like a companion or friend, Jennifer added. Enjoy yourself with somebody that's good in bed. He looks like he'd be good in bed. I don't think she's looking for another husband. John McPhee, a retired U.S. Army Special Ops Sergeant Major, has been called Shrek by some. Erika acknowledged their connection in July after images surfaced of the pair following a Manny/Petty outing snapped by the paparazzi. On the same edition of the after show, she shared more details on how they met. I met him in London, and then he took me to dinner, and then we saw each other again, said Erika. Yeah, and I guess that paparazzi, the picture was taken. Well, I couldn't hold it in any longer, so it was good to have 2 dates that were just mine. The star of Bet It All on Blonde also revealed that they are still dating and having a great time. Day, to be sentenced to 7 years in federal prison in 2024 for wire fraud conviction. Erika filed for divorce in 2020 after 21 years of marriage, just as the attorney's legal, financial, and health problems began to unravel in season 11 of RHOBH. Earlier this season, Erika told Sutton she was still not over that, about the idea that her estranged spouse may die while incarcerated. I am devastated. Erika said. It sucks for ucking. Knowing that person, being married to that person for that long, and then seeing him walk down the courtroom stairs like that, knowing that he's going to die in prison, that's heavy. Any level. She was married to Thomas Zizzo for 5 years till 1996. Their union produced Erika's sole son, police officer Tommy Zizzo, 32, and the exes remain friendly. Are Erika Jayne and boyfriend John Shrek McPhee still together? Erika Jayne has been rather tight-lipped on disclosing anything about her love life after her dramatic breakup from Tom Girardi in 2020. However, she has only briefly mentioned her current affair with John Shrek McPhee, a former U.S. Army Special Operations Sergeant, Major and Bodyguard in Season 15 of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. John himself hasn't actually filmed sequences for the show, but Erika has spoken about him to her castmates. Of course, this was all filmed in the summer of 2025, so it's been quite a while since Erika initially opened up about the connection. As the RHOBH Season 15 finale airs tonight, scroll down for more on where the two are now. Yes, Erika and John are still in a relationship. She makes a point of keeping their relationship out of the spotlight and off social media, but she revealed in February 2026 that they're still going strong. It's still going, she told Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen, confessing that John hadn't met any of her RHOBH castmates yet. On an episode of the RHOBH After Show, Erika gushed, "I'm having a great time with him." She also said in December to The Daily Dish that her son, who's in his 30s, has met John, and it went well. Erika met John at a music festival in London in June 2025. She was performing at the event, and he was there working on Heidi Montag's security team. Heidi was also a performer at the performance. Actually, Erika found an interview John made on a podcast before the show. "I watch everybody's podcast late at night before I go to bed, and I saw him on a friend of mine's podcast," she remarked in July 2025 on her own show. "I saw him in a friend's podcast and thought, wow, that's an interesting interview." Erika presented herself to John when she saw him backstage. "I was like, hey, my name is Erika, and I've seen a couple podcasts. I'm a fan," she said. In Los Angeles, they went on 2 dates before being seen by paparazzi. "It ruined a nice private moment and a nice private thing I was having for myself," Erika said. When asked on the RHOBH After Show in January 2026 if she saw herself marrying John in the future, Erika said yes. "No, I don't think so," she said. "The DJ still needs to go through her divorce from Tom. I don't know. I don't want to give anyone these problems. Does that make sense?" she said. Erika Jayne revealed she was in an abusive relationship. "After Tom, I was numb inside." Erika Jayne spilled more tea on a recent violent relationship on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. The revelation happened during a reunion between Erika and Sutton Stracke and Denise Richards, in which they discussed the latter filing for divorce from Aaron Vipers in Season 15, Episode 10. After the RHOBH alum relayed her story, she pulled up a photo of Denise with a black eye and told her, "Just so you know, I went through this too." Erika explained that the instances happened recently, did not include any of her husbands, including Tom Girardi, and no one knew at the time. "I met somebody, and it started out fun," Erika told a producer. "There were no expectations of happily ever after, or this is my person, or any of that, like bullshit. And it was a few months after meeting this guy that it became a mess. The first time this happened, I was incredibly calm, and I put on my best hostage negotiator voice," Erika said in her confessional, without going into specifics of the altercation. "And this person was king nuts. I was scared, but I was so numb inside I could hardly feel anything." Back at the table, Sutton inquired, "Who's the guy?" Erika responded, adding that their identity didn't really matter, but that it took place not too long ago. "Tommy was after. It had happened more than once," Erika said. "And then, the third time I was like, this isn't for me. I'm just going to say one thing, and I'm going to leave it right there," she said. "You have no idea how embarrassing it is to be a mother of a police officer and have to pick up the phone and call 911. and then call your family member and say, I think you should hear this from me first before you hear it from anybody else. That scary experience didn't prevent Erika from telling Sutton and Denise that the hard scenario was water under the bridge now. I've tried to pull myself up as best I can and keep moving forward. Thank God you got out, Denise said to Erika, who replied, yeah, sure. Well, it just stopped at the appropriate time, and that's gone long ago, it's what it is. Meanwhile, Denise also mentioned that Erika had just begun dating somebody new, aka boyfriend John McPhee. Erika replied, life goes on. But in a preview for episode 11, Erika sadly tells her therapist that she felt a lot of shame after getting hit or choked. Her therapist replies, but you were very lucky that you survived. Meanwhile, Erika also told the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills after show that she had also leaned on Kyle Richards and Dorit Kemsley for assistance. I think it's important for everybody watching to understand that certain things are very delicate and you don't necessarily kind of reveal them in the moment, she explained. But when it was all over, I told Kyle and Dorit, and they were gracious enough to keep confidence from me. As to why she decided to go public with her tale on RHOBH, Erika commended brave Denise for speaking out about her experience initially, before later adding, it was on my heart. It was time, and I did it. Erika Jayne reveals why her boyfriend John McPhee hasn't met her RHOBH castmates. Erika Jayne wasn't kidding. She and John McPhee are indeed taking it slow. After dating the retired Master Sergeant for 6 months, Erika has yet to introduce her new beau to the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills ensemble, and she's 100% okay with that. No one has met him, she told Us Weekly in a recent interview. I sort of like it that way because I like him. I know these things are unhealthy for your relationship. Been through too much with this one. I'd like to keep that relationship special. And over here if I could. Erika revealed the romance back in July, revealing she had met John when she was performing at the London music festival Mighty Hoopla. This was their first time meeting in person, but Erika said she already knew about John's background. I had seen John on these 2 podcasts, she recalled. I was thinking, oh, it's that man. I'm going up and say hello, and that's what I did. That's why I can't fast date, you see. I have to be the one to begin. Thank God he saw me in my full regalia. We don't have to throw that on him at a later point. John didn't know who I was or what the Housewives world was about, Erika said. He has not seen the show, knows nothing about it, she said. Like, this wasn't part of the plan. Erika married the man 5 years after she filed for divorce from Tom Girardi. She opened out about the split during her December 18th appearance on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen, saying that her divorce was still pending, but just a penstroke away from being finalized. I applied for a separation. It is very difficult to get a divorce for an incompetent person, she said. I have to check with the conservator. It's just not that easy. Steady. In her sit down with Us Weekly, Erika spoke up about her divorce, revealing that she was always attracted to people who were confident and intelligent. I was married to somebody really good at their job for a long time, and that obviously ended really bad, she remarked, before gushing about new beau John. He makes me feel incredibly good and relaxed and tranquil. I like to have fun. He is a typical everyday person and doesn't reside in LA. I had to get away from all this. I needed a moment. It's been a lot. No more today. What are you thinking about this gossip today? Let us know in the comments and stay tuned by subscribing to our channel to get more updates like this. Thank you.